Welcome, everybody, to Next Gen Leadership Live. I'm your host, Jimmy Ryan, and today we are joined by Sasha Stair, the author of The Inside Job. Pick up a copy on Amazon or anywhere you buy books, and maybe give her a 5-star review, too. What's up, Sasha?
Hey, Jimmy, that was a very nice little shout out for me.
We got to throw some plugs in there, every now and again. And
Actually appropriate for today's topic, to be honest.
well, yeah, and this talk we're going to talk about mental health, the crisis that really struck our industries, and I mean, there's a lot of different industries right now that are struggling with mental health. I think mental health, in a general statement, across the country, maybe even world, I don't know, but like it's an issue, and I think that it's becoming more and more of an issue, and we're going to talk about some things that we've personally struggled with. And I feel like the only way to really like give advice on a topic is if you've been through it yourself. And actually, dear friend of mine and contributor to Momentum Builder, Phil Treadwell, he says that whenever you're going through a tough time, it's a lot of times it's going to make you stronger, but a lot of times it's also so that you can help somebody that is either going through it now or about to go through it. And your leadership can really help those people. So, Sasha, mental health, let's open us up with the problem and the issues that I think that you and I have like talked about off camera. What are the issues and how are we going to solve this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the first step with anything is just creating awareness, right? And allowing ourselves to admit that I think mental health has become a category that is more than just diagnosed issues. It is also just general anxiety that we all face day to day with the stressors that we have in life. And the fact that we've gotten to a place in society where we're able to just say that, right? It doesn't discount, discredit, or take away from those true diagnosed mental issues that are significant. It just also acknowledges we all have to maintain and pay attention to and feed into our mental and our emotional well-being as well. And that we all struggle with the stressors in life, regardless of whether it's from, something in your personal life, whether it's losing a job, not making, the financial means that you needed for the year and the stress of that on top of it. There are so many stressors that we just deal with on a day-to-day basis. And then you add the hard stuff on top of it. You move, you have a death in the family, like whatever it might be. And so there's always going to be the general, I think, anxiety that we face. And I think because our society has gotten so overstimulated, that's become more prevalent. And then you tack on a really challenging market, a really hard year, some personal hits, some professional hits. And now all of a sudden you're starting to feel that anxiety become more overwhelmed. And I don't think we've talked about it enough. And I don't think that we've given people the right training and tools and support to feel like they can manage and harness it in a healthy way.
I fully agree. And you know what? It's something that we're not taught how to deal with in school. It's not a class. I mean, you could take psychology and learn about things like depression, things like, anxiety, all the negative feelings, but there's no real like way to get through it. And, or like it's just not taught. And a lot of times I think that, especially for men, I think women are better at this, but I think men are really terrible at it in the sense of letting it out and actually talking and having a real conversation about what they're struggling with. It comes across as not manly and as, I don't know, even feminine or like, insert whatever you want to call it, but it's not looked at. You're weak if you're going through a tough time. And I think truly, let's talk about some solutions. So Sasha and I both had some pretty rocked couple years here with a lot of personal issues, court. I mean, financial, jobs. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we've been through, and I want to talk about what we've done personally to not just get through it, but thrive somehow through it and get better somehow through it. So for me, I joined a men's group, and And I think that that's something that, I guess just being vulnerable about it, it has been like the best therapy that I've ever had in my entire life. And I get to go together with a group of about 10 guys, and we just pour out our hearts of what's, frustrating us or making us angry or making us want to drink or not get up in the morning or not go to the gym, whatever it is. We just vent it all out. And there's something just so powerful about publicly saying what's wrong and have it be acknowledged by a group of people and getting advice from people in the sense of not even advice, just even to be heard and to like, that sucks. That's awful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're going through that, and just be acknowledged.
Yeah.
I think that there's something so powerful about that. But then having like a group talk about maybe they went through something similar. Anyway, I want to say that first and foremost, if you're a man struggling with some stuff, join a men's group.
And look, listen, humans want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to be accepted.
Yeah.
Right. And so what you're talking about is a safe space for you to go be seen, heard, and accepted. And everyone needs that safe space, and it can look different, and it's okay. And at minimum, it is cathartic to get it out of your system. So at minimum, do it with yourself with a journal, like bare minimum, like get it out. Like the more that we hold on to things, the worse things are, right? It's not the load, it's how you carry it. And so getting it out of our systems, which is something, again, to your point, I think newer generations, younger generations are starting to get more access to those tools, but our generations weren't. So we got to get out of our system. Second, if you're not comfortable going to a public group like you're talking about, then get a therapist, right? Like the taboo of therapy is long gone. Get over it. All need someone to talk to. So whether it's a friend or a parent or a licensed professional or whoever else, your dog. I mean, I talk to my dog and my cat sometimes. It may sound like I'm crazy, but we just have to get it out of our system. And I just don't think we're taught that it's okay to do that. For a long time, many generations, ours, my parents included, even grandparents, were told, shove it down, shove it down, shove it down. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You can only do that for so long, and eventually it will come out in ugly ways. And we don't want that to happen. And I'll say, for my own personal experience, something that really helped ground me in being able to manage through significant crisis in life is I was raised by an alcoholic father. Luckily, I had a mom and a stepdad that were very stable and gave me, a good place to land. But when I was with my dad, I had to deal with a lot of chaos. And until I was in my mid-20s and went through Al-Anon, which is the 12-step program for loved ones of addicts, I didn't really have a container or an understanding of what he was experiencing and then how I was managing through it. And through Al-Anon, I learned that just like my dad was addicted to alcohol, I was addicted to chaos. Why? Because he was chaotic and he created chaos. And so as a child growing up, I learned to manage it. Here's the good and the bad of it. The good is now I'm really good in like stressful situations. When chaos ensues, it's like, send in Sasha, send in the troops, right? The negative is I have to watch it and make sure I don't go down the path of unhealthy behaviors around managing chaos. And so even just having that experience to learn, like, oh my gosh, I have become comfortable and used to something. And it's not a terrible thing, but sometimes it can be. So if I'm aware of that, and I now know when chaos happens, the best practice for me is to take a beat. Take a minute, take a breath, and evaluate. Did I create this chaos? Sometimes I do that. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just life happened, and that's okay. But before I react and respond from an emotional state, if I take that beat and I take that breath, I can evaluate, how bad is this? What's the worst case scenario if this plays out? And then let me build a plan for how I'm going to manage this and be mindful of my little, perfectionist and chaos manager that like lives over here that's trying to protect me, and say, okay, I appreciate you. And we're going to use some of those skills, but we're not going to let the full monster come into play here.
100%. I love how you said journal too. I don't journal. I should. I think that I know a lot of people that do. And There's I know a lot of men that do, and there's a lot of science behind. There's something about involving the senses of writing, seeing, and
Yeah.
thinking at the same time that allows you to. You're talking about processing it effectively, and a lot of times we're dealing with the 7 stages of grief,
Mhm.
and I think the first thing that you said, it's step one. It's accept it.
Yeah.
It's step one of a 12-step program is accept that it is happening and that you are out of control. And that's the first piece. And I heard a quote yesterday at my men's group. I thought I'd share. It's just excellent. If there is no peace in your life, you either pursue it or you escape it. And I just think that that's so money. It's just so money.
That is.
You're either pursuing peace or you're escaping it. And
I
it's
wonder
just
if
so
it's almost like avoiding it, right? Because sometimes I'm serious, like we're gluttons for punishment. God knows why. But like it's like sometimes we avoid it because we get so caught up in the drama and the swirl of it. And there's something about that that like keeps us either excited or involved or like not having to face the truth or the reality of what we just don't want to heal and we don't want to address. And so we like consume ourselves in it, which is another unhealthy habit.
it's literally step one.
Right.
Which is the hardest step. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's the only one that you have to do perfectly. You have to do that step perfectly. Is admit that there is a problem. And we wear it like a badge of honor, and we really do. We enjoy being punished. It is the weirdest thing. It's like we're addicted to it. We're self-sabotaging ourselves. We almost don't want the success that we say that we do. Subconsciously we're tripping ourselves up in a weird way. So okay, a couple other things that we can do. So I want to just I'm going to give just a couple tips, and this goes to someone that might be really truly at rock bottom or close, or think that they're rock bottom. And they say this about rock bottom is that when you think you're at rock bottom, sometimes you're not. You have a lot farther to go, which is a great tip, is that find anything to be grateful for. And there's a ton of science about this too. It's like if you can focus on things that are good and give your brain a break from all of the negativity, you have to practice gratitude. You have to there's a discipline with it. It's not you decide to be grateful. You have to it's not like you say you're grateful. You have to decide that you are grateful. I am grateful for this thing. I have a beautiful house. I have you might not have a house. You might have a beautiful car. You might have an awesome new phone. Whatever the heck it is, you got to be grateful for something. And you have to focus on that and take your mind off of it. I would say to people that are really stuck and are like not getting out of bed and are maybe drinking too much or maybe engaging in behavior that's just not productive or healthy, is that when I was there, I knew I had to do this. I had to clean my junk drawer. And I had like a house full of like an overwhelming list of things that I needed to do. And it was legitimately overwhelming, and it was stressing me out on top of everything else that I had going on. I just picked one thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do one thing. And I emptied out my entire junk drawer. I took everything out of it. I threw half of it away because it was garbage. And then I had like probably, I don't know, 100 pens or something. So I opened up every one. I tried which one works, okay, this doesn't work, throw it away. This one doesn't work, throw it away. And then I organized it and I put it back, and I felt like I just basically accomplished the biggest task of my life. And because I felt so freaking down, that I just got a little win. And then I went gangbusters on all the other things that I had to do. And it was just like, it was that little tiny bit of success and momentum that I got to get me going to the next thing. And the last thing I have to say is you need to join a gym. You have to go work out. It is the most, it actually gives you the same high as drugs or alcohol in your brain. It gives you the same high. Not only that, it's healthy. and not destructive. It is addicting in some certain ways, is to go to the gym. You get those gains. You get you see the numbers on your gosh, do I have one of these? I have this thing called, I do these in-body reports. Anyway, well, whatever. You see your weight going down, your muscle mass going up, your body fat percentage go down. That's a great healthy thing to be addicted to, and it keeps you going, and you're not going to get the results that you want if you're drinking too much, eating like crap, and staying up all night. If you can get your health in order, it's so weird, obvious. It's obvious and yet weird that, wow, everything just tends to stack up and like you're happy.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't have our health, we don't have anything else. And I think sometimes we take for granted, especially at an age where we're still not old, but we're also not young, where we have a lot still working for us. And so we don't always notice the cues and the signs our bodies are giving us that like, hey, you need to take better care of yourself. And better do it now until it is too late, because once you hit an older age where you can't reverse and you can't go back, it is too late. So, getting ahead of it now is the right time, regardless of where you are in that journey. It's never too late, but you don't want to delay it any further than you already have. You brought up a couple of other things that I want to tack on to. One is when it comes to the brain, and I'm terrible at remembering factoids, but what I do know is excitement and anxiety come from the same part of your brain, and they elicit the same response. And so if you have anxiety around something, perhaps try to reframe what about the anxiety could you turn into excitement. So I'll give an example. If I have anxiety about moving to a new city, right? Because I'm nervous about, the move itself and packing and meeting new people, what would be exciting about moving to a new city? Well, I get to meet new people. I get to go explore new places, right? And I get to build a new home. And so if you can just take the anxiety and reframe it into excitement, which it's already there in your brain, it's just a matter of the words that you're saying to yourself, that can help you shift in a moment. You also mentioned struggling getting out of bed. And again, terrible with factoids, but there's a book by Mel Robbins where she talks about her practice of like, she had that same issue and she literally just would count down like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then boom, I'm getting out of bed. Because if I don't, I'm never going to get out of bed. And they've done science and studies now, and they're actually working with veterans with PTSD to show that like there's something about when our brain counts down backwards that actually like shifts us into a different space, and we're not able to like attach as strongly to the emotions. Don't quote me verbatim, go look it up and find out the real explanation around that, but like I got it pretty close. So that's another one you can use. And then I love boxed breathing, right? So like you can literally count while you breathe. So you inhale for 5 counts, you hold your breath for 5 counts, you exhale for 5 counts, and then you hold it out for 5 or 3 or 10 or however long or short you can do. But like boxed breathing will tell your nervous system to calm down. And when we do that, then we can now be out of that reactive, emotional, anxious state and be in a more grounded, present state. And from there, we now can shift how we're going to move forward. And at that point, you got to be really careful about, again, your mindset and the words that you use when you talk to yourself. Because you could easily go back down the rabbit hole and be like, oh, but the domino effect of all things that are going wrong in my life. No, right? That's where your gratitude practice or whatever else you want to insert comes into play. So some additional tips, and last one I'll just give for anyone who really struggles with PTSD, which I do, is if I get to a place where I am truly either numbing out or I'm frozen. Something I learned in traditional therapy that has been one of the greatest practices ever is using your senses. So, and you can tell a friend, a partner, whoever you have in your life that could be there for you when you need somebody to help you facilitate through this. Name things that you can see, that you can taste, that you can feel. Like look around the room and keep naming things that trigger those senses until you get to a place where you're no longer in whatever that traumatic state is, but you're back in that present moment. All, I believe, amazing tools that I didn't make up. I had to learn them. I had to find them. But now that I have them, I rely on them sometimes daily, monthly, yearly, just depends on the situation.
I love it. It just takes you out. It just removes you out of it. It gets you out of frozen. And box breathing, I've done that.
Love it.
That's super solid. I've kind of forgotten about it. I would do 4 seconds,
I
but
love it. And you
it's
know what? We all have feminine and masculine energy in us, but like I'm just going to for a second say female, male. I've worked with coaching clients, female, male. It is one of the ones that works for both, no matter what.
right.
So, regardless of your views in that department, all I'm going to say is I feel like it's very agnostic, it's very neutral, and I have seen it work for everyone. And so I 100% believe in box breathing.
Sasha, I didn't think we were going to have 20 minutes, but I feel like we just started this talk, but we are at time. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And if you are struggling with mental health issues or just issues in general, and you ever need somebody to talk to, just want to extend myself out to you, you can always reach out, and I would love to help you in any way that I possibly can. And I'm sure Sasha would say the exact same thing. We're all helpers, team players. I get fulfillment out of helping people, and if I can say something to you based on my own personal experience, it's fulfilling and it feels good. It's like it's actually it's the 12th step. You learn something, you gain something out of this. Go out and help somebody else, which is another great tip to help get yourself out of a bad spot. So thank you everybody for joining us. If you've liked this, if you hated this, well, don't hate this. Don't hate
it.
If
and
you,
don't
if you
forget,
hate,
like most important thing, you never know what someone else is going through. So always hold compassion, not just for yourself, but for others.
100%. Sasha?
Yeah, and if you need help figuring out how to use some of those tools and practices, pick up the book. It has it all in there. I promise. It's a good one.
Love it. All right, thanks for joining us. Thanks, Sasha.
Email me, call me, and I'll send you one for free.
Look at that. Look at this value on this call. I love it. All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks, Jimmy.